Welcome to Our Love podcast, where we share insights from top scientists and relationship experts on all things about love that are out of the box, refreshing, and new. Now sit back, grab a cold drink or hot one if you prefer, and enjoy today's episode.
Hello, friends. Welcome to our.love podcast. This is Destiny Martinez. Today, I'm here with Tanya Coppin-Fox. Tanya will be interviewing today's guests, Mr. and Mrs. Swann. Before I introduce our guests formally, I would like to thank today's sponsor for our episode. This episode is brought to you by Our Love Company. If you want to build a strong, long-lasting relationship with your significant other and explore new, exciting ways to engage each other, check out our website at www.our.love and sign up for the latest insights on all topics related to relationships and love. Now, I'd love to welcome our amazing guests on today's podcast, Elaine and Chris Swann. Welcome. We are so excited and happy to have you here. Elaine Swann is a nationally known figure who is famous for her expertise in the field of etiquette and lifestyle coaching. She is the founder of the Swann School of Protocol, with 20 independently owned and operated schools across the United States. Elaine works diligently to empower her etiquette consultant partners to provide world-class etiquette and social training. Elaine became an authority on etiquette after she published her first book, Let Crazy Be Crazy, and gained further notoriety by appearing on numerous TV shows and talk shows, such as The Today Show, Dr. Oz, the CNN Headline News, and Access Hollywood. And I'd also love to welcome Mr. Chris Swann, best known as the bass player for the Tom Curren, a three-time world champion surfer. A DC native, Mr. Swann began playing go-go music, and when he was first introduced to Led Zeppelin and Rush, he developed an affinity for rock and roll. Added to the list of genres that he dabbles in is folk, R&B, funk, rock, punk, and surf rock. We are so excited to welcome them both to the show. And Tanya, take it away.
Thank you, Destiny. Welcome, Elaine and Chris. Thank you so much for agreeing to be guests this week on our podcast. Well, guys.
Our absolute pleasure. Thank you for having us.
Thank you so much. I don't know where to begin because we know each other. We've known each other now for about 3-4 years.
Yes.
We've worked together on Ladies of Success, which is an organization with a mutual friend of ours. And we've worked on several projects and I'm just happy to have you. And Chris, you've always been the rock solid guy right there next to Elaine as we're doing all the crazy woman stuff, but one thing I always just feel good about and I always compliment her on is how, you're there just supporting her. And I really think that, everyone looking on is just so amazed at the relationship that you guys have together. So my first question for you, and I'm sure the audience wants to know, is how did you guys meet?
Oh, gosh, we get asked this question all the time. And it's so funny because there's kind of a similarity, but yet an odd thing, because you have an etiquette lady and a rock star, and they think, how in the world did that happen?
Right.
But we were actually introduced by my cousin. And maybe you could tell the story of how you met Marco.
Yeah, so I met Marco here in California. Back in the day, I came out here on a surf trip, and I met Marco. And at that time, it's been a year. Okay. And when I saw Marco for the first time, he was like the only black guy, the first black guy I've met in California, Carlsbad, California.
Wow.
I grabbed him and I said, "Who are you?" And at that time, he's a drummer. Then once we, probably a week after that, I was like, where the black girls at?
We live in an area where there's only the population for Black people is only 6%.
Okay.
We've gone to an area that had fewer Black people. So
I'm from Washington, D.C. So
right.
Yeah, so Marco introduced me to Elaine. He said, you want to see what the black girls at? I said, yeah. So he actually, we drove out to Elaine.
Yeah, to my salon. At that time, I had a hair salon. And I was on my second business. And it was a hair salon, 2,000 square foot salon. We had all these girls working there. And Chris always laughs because he said when they opened up the door and he walked in and saw all the sisters, he was at the promised land.
Right.
He came to me and said, you have to meet my friend. This guy, I know this is the perfect guy for you. And I want you to meet him. I know God has this guy for you and this is him. So I met him. And at the time, he'd been surfing a lot. So he had a bushy hair and his hair was orange because of the water, the sun. Yeah.
In the sun, yeah.
Tall and dark, and he looked all rugged and everything. And I was like, yes. So I instantly had a crush on him, and my cousin was exactly right. But for whatever reason, I think I was too shy. He wasn't ready. Whatever it was, it did not go further than us just saying hello to each other that day. And we went for years just saying, hi, kind of shy. And when I say years, we actually married other people. He got married.
Really?
Yes. And I got married and stayed married for 1 year. And
we'll talk about that later, but okay.
Yeah, we see each other in passing, family functions, shows, things like that. But it wasn't until 10 years later.
Wow.
My brother was hosting a barbecue, and then the family kind of got in on it to try to get us together, right?
Yeah, her cousin, on that day, her cousin called me like 5 times. By then, he had already been on 2 blind, he hooked me up with 2 blind dates, and I was like, no more phone calls. You cannot call me. Boom. I was slamming the phone on him like all day. Then he said, no, Elaine's going to be there. And I was like, okay. I said, okay. Okay. So I, put something nice on and drove over to the house. And when I was driving down the street, so I'm pulling into the neighborhood. I'm going down the neighborhood. And he's
pulling into the neighborhood. And I'm leaving to go take my mom a plate of food because she didn't come. It was 4th of July. And I see this car pulling up and the window starts to roll down. And, I don't do the window roll down thing. So I just looked at the car thinking, I don't think so. And then the window went down. I saw it was Chris Swann, which he is the nicest guy.
Right.
So I thought, oh my gosh, it's Chris Swann. Hi, how are you? Oh my gosh. I said, you could have been. He parked and everything. And then he started I stood outside and waited for him, and he started walking up the street. And I said, oh my goodness, I have not seen you in so long. How are you?
Right.
And he just,
but to tell you the truth, I knew that I was going to marry him. When I was on the phone, it was a destination. So when she asked me how I was, I just did my arms like this, like I gave up. I was tired of different people. I was done. I know this was over. This was it. And I just knew.
Like, he did. He actually walked out. And when he put his arms out like that, my heart fluttered. The state of my heart really did flutter. And I thought, oh my gosh.
Yeah, I was done. I was like, I said, whatever's God sent me. I said, whatever's for me is for me. So I guess this is for me. So I just
So do you think that you just know when it's the right person? You just have that feeling. You just,
absolutely. We knew that. I had the feeling that day too. As a matter of fact, for me personally, I heard God say, this is your husband. This is the man I have for you.
Right.
And I was a little confused, honestly, because I was single and I was very content. I had already been through all sorts of therapies, and my daughter was away in college. At the time, I was a flight attendant, and I had closed the salon. I was working my etiquette business. I was a flight attendant. I was doing both things, and I was very content. I felt as though I never had to get married. And I kept telling everyone, no, I'll never get married again. Not because I was mad at marriage, but because I was incredibly content. And I really felt as though I was fine, that I was going to spend the rest of my life traveling and, running this business and just enjoying life. And so I was content. And that day I didn't receive that, but I knew I had a huge crush on him. So we exchanged numbers that day, the 4th of July.
Okay.
We went out on a date a few days later. And on the 20th of July, he asked me to be his girlfriend. And
yeah, I did it right.
Yeah. And on January 26th, we got married. So we dated for a whole 6 months. But the thing is, we actually, and I've written this in one of my books before too, to help encourage other people, other young people and other older people or midlife people or what have you. We actually we both knew that we were born again Christians, and we actually waited to have sex before we got married. We did. We really waited. We waited 6 months only. But
I mean, I that was one of the questions I was going to ask you, because early on in your story, you talk about God, and you talk about that faith and knowing. I mean, how important is religion and faith in a relationship? Would you guys say? Yeah.
Yeah, it's very important. My first relationship, it was a little different. It was just, I don't know, it was just other stuff going on, and we couldn't connect.
She was into crystals and all kinds of.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So with Elaine, it just worked out. It was just easy. It fit.
Right.
It fit because praise God, my parents are still alive, and they still show me how it is. How their relationship. I always watched them.
Right.
But when I first got divorced, I was very disappointed with myself. Right. I was down on myself because I was like single for like 5 years.
Right.
But always in the back of my head, Elaine was always in the back of my head because it was always consistent. She was there.
Right.
There. I'm like, what's going on? Why is this woman is for some reason? And in that day, I just said, well, you know what? Okay, God, I give up. I'm done. Okay. I'm done. This is it. So I did. Yeah.
So you surrender to God and surrender to love, huh?
Faith is vital because we the key for us is, and this is what works for us as a couple,
right?
To have that foundation, whatever your faith is, the foundation. That's what's going to fortify your marriage.
Yeah.
And for us as an individual, we practice we live our lives as Christians. Yeah. And our personal belief is that he is the head of the household, that God has placed him here as the earthly protector, overseer, provider, everything for our marriage. So for us in our household, no matter what we do outside, he's the head. And that's what brings us together in terms of, I don't know, all of the decisions that we make early on. For example, this might be unique to some people, but we said, if we were ever at odds about something and weren't sure about a decision, maybe we didn't necessarily see eye to eye. I felt we should do one thing. He felt we should do the other. We made a conscious decision to say, we will go with what he says.
Oh, okay.
And the reason why is because whether it's right, wrong, or indifferent, or I have the better idea, or what have you, God is going to honor our marriage because we're lining up with what we believe. And this is what we believe the word says about marriage. So regardless of what will happen, it's going to end up working out because he's the head. So I'm like, it's your fault. You make the decision. I'm just And remember the thing, we were at odds about the one office building, remember? Oh. There was an office building and a friend of ours called and said, got some office space. It's a great price. You can get it locked in for this really, really minuscule price. And we were working from home at the time. And I saw that the price was good, and the people wanted to have us locked in for a long time. They said, "Hey, do you want 5 years, or how long do you want?" And he said, "No, let's just do 2 years." And I said, "No, let's do the 5 years. We can lock this in for 5 years." They said they're not going to change the price. That'll take us all the way in. And we walked away. They said, "Will you all go think about it?" We went and walked away and think about it and so forth. And we had a moment, and this was very early in our marriage, where I just felt like we should have been in that place longer. And he said, no, let's do 2 years and then we can renew. And if it's more expensive at that time, but let's just try this out and see.
Right.
And do you know?
Uh-oh.
I am so glad that we only did those 2 years, because even though the price was right, you get what you paid for. And come to find out, the area was not the best area. There was crazy stuff happening with the neighbors, stuff like that. And so when that 2-year lease was up, we could not get out of there fast enough. And so I'm thankful for that. And not to say that he knew that was going to happen, but it was just kind of the insight, I don't know. So, I don't know. But what I'm like feeling with him.
Well, my wife, she's a go-getter.
Yeah.
And like she's turning over stones.
Really
Right.
I mean, sometimes I get, I let her, make decisions, but I'm like, you know what? I don't know about that.
Yeah.
Right.
I have to pull her back, and you rethink it. We might, but we'll get through it.
But let me ask you, because that's very interesting. Particularly, you have a lot of women now that are very successful. They're very driven, and they're making a lot of money, their own money. And when they're in relationships, they find it very hard to allow the man in the relationship to lead, because they feel like that leadership goes with how much money you bring into the relationship. What do you guys think about that? I mean, it seems like you guys have a great balance in knowing that, listen, like you said, Chris is the head. He is who God has ordained to be the head of the household. And I'm giving him the opportunity to be that head. And it seems like it's working. What would you say to women who just feel like, hey, I don't need him, and they don't really value the advice of their partner?
Well, okay. I'm a little different because I watched my father and my mother. My mother is the go-getter.
Yeah.
She knows how to, she's she has master. Yeah, she's an economic major. She has a master, but she always let my father lead. But my father, he would never hold it back, because that was not his territory.
Yeah.
That's not his thing. His thing was doing this, doing that, and he never spaced. They had, they had guidelines, but I watched him.
Right.
And just watching him working with my mother, I'm like, oh, okay. He was sensitive every time and come to find out, he was the sensitive one in the family. So when I look at it, I'm not saying Elaine is like my mother, but she's a goat.
Yeah.
I totally get my wife.
Yeah.
I totally get it. I understand it. So I won't get in the way of the money. Let's make this money. Let's be a part.
He's like,
and we don't have that type of.
Well, here's one of the things that we said and this is what I would say to the woman who is withholding or what have you. It's a challenging thing to do, and I know everyone talks about nest eggs and have this to the side just in case and all that and so on and so forth. Here's how we live. First of all, number one, what was our motto when we first before we got married? We said,
divorce is not an option.
That's number one.
Okay.
It's not even an option. It's not even an option. There's no discussion as far as that's concerned.
I love it.
We were in it for the long haul. Number two, when the money hits the dough, it's not his, it's not hers, it's ours.
Ours. Yes. I love it.
It is ours. Now, there's nothing wrong with him having his little secret account not secret account, but he has an account on the side where, he uses that to buy gifts, and things like that. And the same for me. We do that to buy gifts for each other and so on and so forth.
Yeah.
But once it hits the door, that's the thing that I have to share with women. That's a hard thing to do, ladies. But listen, for us, divorce is not an option. For those who are saying, hey, I need to protect myself, then that's when should you choose to do so, you get a prenuptial agreement. But you don't live vicariously through that. Just tell yourself, I'm going to have my prenup, which we don't have. And it's not even a thing, but have that. And when the money hits
if you need it for,
ours. Right. If you need it, you got it. But live your daily life saying it's not his, it's not hers, but it's ours. It's ours. We have our money goes into a joint account. And we work it with whatever. He prefers for me to manage it just because he's a creative. My husband not only is a musician and plays in a professional band, but he also writes music for film and for television and things like that. So a lot of times he has to get into a creative space. And so he's not wondering, are the lights on and the bills paid?
I get it.
He prefers, for me to take care of that. And so he can freely create and do what he has to do. And I take care of everything, but it's ours. It's not, how much did you make? We just look at it from that perspective. Once it hits that bank account, there is no how much, nothing,
But I think Chris said it best. I think when he said, knowing each other's strength in the relationship, it seems like he's kind of figured out, hey, if she's stronger at it, we win together, right? So, if she's strong at something, we let her, take that. And if I'm stronger at something, I take that, but together we're winning. But, to be honest with you, in a lot of, African-American or people of color relationships, it's hard for the man to even take that stance. I mean, Chris, what advice would you give to men out there who are thinking, to my buddies, I can't let them know that my wife is paying the bills or I don't want them to know, we get caught up in the cycle of what other people think. What would you have to say about that?
Wow. That's it's a difficult question because the way I treat my wife is coming from my heart. Oh. So it has, the money, it doesn't bother me.
Right.
This is it. This is it. This is it. Divorce is not an option. And so I just, like I said, I'm a little different.
Well, that's the creative side of it. Yeah.
Go ahead. Just handle it.
Yeah, let him. Yeah, that's strong point. Let him. I mean, that's my wife's strong point.
Yeah.
That's her strong point. TV is a strong point. This whole COVID, a musician couldn't even get out the house.
Yeah.
What I'm saying? And in the meantime, my wife was on Dr. Oz.
Yeah.
She was on all the major shows.
Yeah.
And I had to support her, but I was already used to it.
Yeah.
So, setting up the camera, doing that, we're working. I know where I fit in this relationship.
Yeah.
So I'm not fighting her. I'm not fighting her for clothes. I'm not fighting to drive a car. We're not into that.
Yeah.
We're into talent. I'm into supporting what her passion is. Her passion is this lifestyle and etiquette stuff. That's her passion.
Yeah.
I can't fight that.
Yeah.
That's her thing. Let her do her thing. And when the money comes in, We already agreed to what we're doing.
Right.
Yeah.
You got to have that. You got to have that conversation with that woman or who you're dating.
Mm-hmm.
Just have a foundation.
Yeah.
Let's talk about what it is that you want.
Yeah. Have a discussion.
Yeah. Talk about what you want and then go from there.
Yeah.
And I know everybody. Yeah.
Yeah. No. Go ahead.
It's like this. He don't want to work on paying no bills or nothing. He's like, he's like, you're good at that? Good. Thank you very much. So I can go over here and create while you take care of the household.
Yeah.
So I make sure I do, and the thing's better, I'll go to him, even investing and stuff like that, right? Art, whatever it is that we do, of course I run things by him, but for the most part, I'm supposed to make sure that the household is running.
Right.
And here's the thing for me as a woman.
Mm-hmm.
My purpose is to make sure that I create an environment that he cannot wait to get home to.
Exactly. Yes. I love it.
He can't wait to get home. As a Black man, it's hard enough for them as it is. Yeah. So I have to make sure that this household is a home of peace so that when he drives up into the driveway, he can't wait to get inside because that's his sanctuary.
Yeah.
He's not coming in to, hollering and all of it. And then you have to learn each other too, right? Because then you got to learn, is he ready to talk or does he need a minute and so forth? Because I'm a talker.
We have to have a conversation because when I would come home, I'm like, just give me a sec. Just give me like 15, 30 minutes.
Yeah.
Take my shoes off and play my guitar a little bit.
Yeah.
Then we can talk.
I think what I'm hearing though from you guys is you guys have established those roles early on in your relationship. You've established those guidelines and those guiding principles for that you've entered into the relationship with, and it seems like you guys are both secure and you trust each other. What role do you think that trusting and having that trust in one another, what do you think how does that play in the relationship? How important is trust in the relationship?
Yeah, I put a lot of trust in my wife. I'm like, from paying the bills, so sometimes I don't get to travel.
Yeah.
Like I used to travel a lot.
Sometimes I don't get to travel.
Well,
so typically, post-COVID. Typically, he's the one that does the traveling because they travel all over the world playing at different venues and stadiums and things like that.
Right.
So when it comes to trust, that is a big thing because these are guys and they're on stage and there's always girls and stuff like that. And so we're talking more post-COVID, babe. I mean, pre-COVID, right? Yeah. So he would travel a lot. And a lot of times the wives don't get to go unless we're paying for it. And then that's when you start to say, well, is it worth it? I mean, now we're dipping into what he's getting paid to play. So we don't want to do that. I'm traveling halfway across the world and all that. Every once in a while I would go with the other wives and what have you. But other than that, they're out and they're gone and they're playing. So trust is a huge factor. Yeah. I have to trust that he's still a man of noble character after he's played a show or what have you, and he's going to hang out with the guys or go back to his hotel room or whatever. And then, he has to, on the flip side, trust that I'm just going to do what's right for the for the household and for him. Yeah. Yeah. So trust is a big, big factor, I think so. And we just happen to be that couple. And I know there's always controversy about this, that we know every password, there's no, there's no, I don't know how to get in his phone and he don't know how to get in my phone and don't look at me. Listen, my husband had picked up the purse. He picked up my purse one day and took it somewhere or something. And there was a lady who was there with us, and we knew her. And she said, "Oh my gosh, he picked up your purse and started going through it to find whatever." And I said, "Yeah, he's looking for whatever." And he hates to go through my purse because he's all, it's like a bottomless pit, right? Right. He used to do it. But she was actually honest. And she said, "Do you know my ex-husband picking up my purse and going through it and was started the demise of our marriage?" And I said, "Really?" She said, "Yeah." She was in the hospital giving birth to the baby and he went into the purse to get something. And she said she felt violated that he had gone into her purse. Now talk about trust. Yeah. The two are one flesh. Right. And we get so up in arms about that. So we actually, when it comes to trust, there are no secrets. There are no, we live our truth. We share everything and anything. So there's no question. We run and tell each other everything because I know something that happened to me and then he doesn't know. Well, why did you tell me that so-and-so? So we just we're our own best friends, I guess. Yeah.
And it definitely sounds like, I was just getting ready to ask that question. It seems like you guys have formed a friendship first and it's transcended into a love affair. And do you think that it's important to form that friendship so that you can, develop that foundation of trust and openness and dialogue and communication and, how important is friendship going into the intimate relationship?
Friendship is very important. That's why, we hung out as much as we could before I popped the question, but just try to, was playing catch up. And we just talked about those times where we were meeting through those 10 years and what we were doing and just, understanding. I had a story I was telling before we met. There was a time where I went to a venue and this time, I was like, man, I got to get out here. I I got to meet some people. So I went to a venue and I sat at the bar and I'm like, I went to ask this lady to dance. I said, would you like to dance? The first thing she did, she looked me up and down. She said, and I was like, and she said, and I was like, man, and from there, my spirit was broken right there in that venue.
Really?
And I said, why am I at this club? Why am I here? I'm in California. I'm from DC. I mean, I have changed. I'm going to change. I'm not going to be DC. I'm not going to be a knucklehead. I'm not. And I put all that stuff behind me, right? And I'm like, I'm sitting in the venue, and I'm like, and this is before we met, and I was like, this lady just said, so what happened was that she thought she broke my spirit, and I said that I was at the bar like, why am I here? This is not what I want. I don't want a woman from the club. I said, I was so much stuff popped in my head. Right. And so she came over and she she broke my spirit and she apologized.
Okay.
She apologized, but she said, well, you got to get some better gear. I'm like, well, I'm a professional musician. I'm an engineer. I'm making products all over the world. I do all kinds of stuff. You don't know you didn't even try to figure out who I was.
Surfer.
Yeah, I was a surfer at the time. So I was going through an eclectic part of my life. So
But do you think a lot of women miss their husband or who could be their husband and their provider because they're looking so much at the outside and the materialistic things instead of really trying to get to know the person?
Yeah. She missed the boat, but my wife always said, that's her loss.
Definitely.
But see, my wife, but during those years, we would always had like an on and off relation. Hi, how you? And so we kind of like knew and trust each other, and then there was a cousin in the middle, so we kind of like knew what was going on. What Elaine doing?
I was fine with the way you dress.
And you're the etiquette expert. Wait, and if you were fine with it,
you know what? I was fine with the way he dressed because it just that nothing. My husband is the nicest guy.
Yeah.
And what you see and how you see him outdoors and outside is exactly who he is at home.
I was not wearing flip-flops.
Look, Chris, I've seen you. You clean up very well, so I have no problem with the way you dress. Trust me, okay?
It's that he taught me to wear flip-flops. He taught me to relax because when we met, everything had to be, hot, heels, sandals, this, that.
We're talking about the baseball game.
What, you took her to the baseball game and she had on heels. What did you have on, Elaine?
Okay, so I had a girlfriend that said to me, okay, you can tell this guy is very athletic. He's into stuff. You better not go to because he asked me a baseball game. Don't go to the baseball game all dressed up and everything. Show him that you can relax. And I said, okay. So of course I had nothing like this. So I went to Lady Foot Locker and I bought a cute little sweatsuit, first one ever. And then I bought some gym shoes, right? Didn't have any, bought some gym shoes. And so I get in the car, I drive to his house because we're going to meet there. I'm going to change clothes and we're going to go to downtown San Diego to the ballpark. And I get to his house and I go to get changed. And darn Lady Foot Locker had put 2 left feet in the shoebox.
I love it.
So I did not get to wear my little sweatsuit. I still went with some little cute little blouse and some jeans with some high heels on to go to the baseball game. And I was thinking, oh my gosh, I hope this guy does not think that I cannot relax.
He probably loved it.
I don't know. No, we were out another date and we were walking down the street and you said, why don't you get some flip-flops? So we stopped at a store and he bought me some flip-flops.
Okay.
It was my first time just kind of being out and wearing flip-flops, not sandals or something, but just really throwing those flip-flops and going. And it's so funny because the other thing is he's a surfer. So for me, when you say, let's go to the beach, I'm all, okay. And I'm packing, making seven and stuff like that. But his let's go to the beach is, oh, the surf's off. Let's go to the beach. Let's just ride and go. So those are things that I had to learn to relax. I had to learn that, not everything is this plan where you're packing a bag and everything and all this stuff. Yeah. And so he taught me how to relax. And I appreciate that. But
so Chris, she was channeling her inner Beyonce at the baseball game. That's what she came in with the heels. So listen, you guys mentioned a little bit about, Chris, your first wife, and Elaine, you said you were married before. Tell me, some of the valuable takeaways that you left those relationships with that has helped you to make this relationship so successful.
Wow. Do you want to go first? I go first.
Okay, I go first. I'll be short. So one thing is money.
Okay.
Everything needs to be on the table.
Yeah.
No secrets.
Good one.
No secrets. Yeah, that's basically honesty.
Honesty.
Respect. There was no respect.
And respect.
No honesty, and just being consideration. I mean, I was okay. There was a time, we were going to church together, and by the time my marriage was over, I was in the church sitting by myself. Like, why am I here by myself?
Really?
That was a tough time. I was like, why? That's when I knew I was like, something's going on. But and there was like I said, the trust and
and respect.
It was both of us, so we just went on separate ways.
Yeah.
For me, well, first of all, he just named our 3 core values of etiquette. That's honesty, consideration.
Say that again so the audience can hear you.
Yeah, so really, truly. So respect, honesty, and consideration. He named those. For me, don't choose a crazy person. Honestly, really. No. And you know what? Do not select a person for who they have the potential to be.
Mm-hmm.
Get with a person based upon who they are today, as if they would never change.
Yeah.
If you meet a person, you look at exactly who they are and you say, this person never, ever, ever changes. Can I do this for the rest of my life? And my answer for him is yes. The answer for the other person, they had potential, but just didn't have it. So that's number one. Do not get with someone that has potential. Get with them for who they are, for sure.
That's very sound advice. I haven't heard that one before, but I love it. Yeah.
Yes, absolutely. The other thing is in terms of the household, because then for me as a woman, right, the way I am married and the give and so on and so forth, when you're doing that with the wrong person, it's messed up.
Yeah.
There's nothing that's ever going to be right. It has to be the right person. And so that's number one. So once you do select the right person, now you're with the right person and everything, go into it. I would absolutely say things that I learned from that particular relationship is, believe. We see this all the time. Whoever that person is, you got to believe. If a person ever tells you I'm not good enough, they are telling you the truth. They are not being modest. They're actually telling you their own truth. Yeah. And that was what was told to me. I'm really not good enough to be with you. And I was all, that's so cute. You just put me up and make me think I'm all that. No, he was really not good enough.
Telling the truth. Yeah.
Yeah. He told me the truth. I didn't want to hear it. And, I was, again, this is pre-therapy. So I still had a lot of things in my mind that I hadn't really, put together the right way yet. But by the time we got together, I was completely whole and making good decisions. And
so it was good to go.
Yeah. So I would say that. And then once you do get married, really, as my husband said, be honest. There's no secrets. Be respectful towards one another. One of the things that we have is an incredible amount of respect for each other. And when I say this, I mean, if I'm in the other room and my husband calls me or I call him, we don't say what or we say yes. We speak to each other with respect. We're very, very careful about what we say because we know we cannot take that. We're very, very careful, very careful.
I'm very careful, what I say to my wife, because it's tough out here. You can't take it because once you put it out there, you know, you might go to bed holding your neck. Let's not play. No, but yeah, you know, just be careful what you say, and just think about what you say. That's, you know, I'm always like, I'm like, let me be careful. Let me think about what I'm saying.
Wow.
Because it only takes 1 second. Because I mean, we're never hot, but you know, if somehow I'm thinking kind of off kilter, you know, like thinking weird, I'm like, you know what? Let me just take a little break, pick up my guitar, you know, walk away and come back. And I'm apologizing. I'm like, you know, I apologize just for being mean. You know how you see it. I'm like, I'm sorry. You know, there's no reason for me to.
He's an artist.
I mean, yeah. I mean, this is some really good stuff. I mean, so much. You guys talk about how your initial meeting was kind of organic. It was through a friend. I know now a lot of people use apps, and they use a lot of, Chris mentioned going to the club. You know, dating in 2021 is very different than we dated. You know, what would you say to people who choose to use other ways to, to find love? What would you say to those people who haven't had much success, you know, meeting someone organically?
Oh, first of all, I say go for it because, well, first of all, we've been married. We'll be married 17 years. We've been, so yay. We have 17 years. Our next anniversary will be 17 years. But yes, I would say go for it and definitely utilize the resources that are available in terms of different dating apps. I think they're phenomenal. If we weren't married or what have you, I could definitely see myself doing that. I would say keep in mind to look at dating as kind of a reconnaissance mission, meaning you're going in and you're getting
Okay, tell me more.
Yes, you're getting information, you're gathering data on this person so that you can figure out if you're a good match, not just by what they say, but by what they do, how they behave, how they conduct themselves. So let's say, for example, you're connecting online and so forth, and you decide, okay, I'm going to meet in person. Right. Don't be so involved with the person and the conversation that you're not also observing them. Yeah. Observe how they treat other people, because that's some telltale signs. Observe, how they are with you. Sometimes some people are just not a good match. For example, if you are the type of woman that says, you know what, for me, I am very successful or I'm very independent. I don't want someone opening the door for me. I don't want them to, do this and cater to me. I can do these things myself. I'll pay for half the meal myself. And the gentleman is opening doors for you, or he wants to pay, or he wants to kind of treat, then this is not a match for you. Yeah. Don't go with that person. Go with the person that's going to allow you to be the independent woman that you are. Yeah. And vice versa. If you're a guy and you meet a lady that says, don't open my door, I can get it myself. That's not your match. And don't try to make her your match. Keep going. So don't feel like just because you go out on a date with the person that you can't say, you know what, I don't think we're a good fit. And keep it stepping. You'll probably never see that person again. Too often we'll keep talking to somebody. We won't. And this is what I get from my girlfriends, where I'm like, girl, cut him off. You don't have to keep talking to him if you don't like him and you don't think it's a good match. Just say, I don't think that we're a good fit, and leave it alone and go to the next one.
And it's okay. And people have to understand too, in finding love, if you want that long-term love, you got to be willing. I always say you got to be willing to kiss some frogs. So it's okay if everyone doesn't work out. Right. It's part of the process. It's really part of the process.
It's the process.
So I have two more questions for you guys. Elaine and Chris, when I came to you and I said, hey, I wanted you to do this podcast for this new company that I've launched with my partner, Tal, what did you guys think about our.love and our.love, our mission and what we're trying to do in building a app that can help relationships and help people love and be loved better? What did you think about that idea and that concept?
Awesome idea. I thought this was an awesome idea because we need more examples.
Yeah.
It's a time to show more examples of people of color
who like each other.
That like each other. We do like each other. They don't talk
That's
about
important.
but we love and like each other. We like hanging out with each other.
Yeah.
I mean,
it's important. It's gotta like your partner. If you don't like your partner, it's gonna be some rough, rocky days, huh?
Yes.
Yeah.
When I heard, I thought this is an excellent idea. I would love to share, because we do have a very unique love story, especially the fact that we got married a little bit older. We were in our late 30s, I guess. I don't know. Yeah. And so that's one thing. And I was really looking forward to being able to share this story because it's so unique. And the fact that we have kind of been there, done that. We've both been married to other people before and then got married. So we had an understanding. I brought a full-grown daughter to the marriage, which made it very unique. So I thought this is a great opportunity to share our story and share the success that we have, because we really do feel that we have won the golden ticket as far as our marriage is concerned.
Yeah.
And often we talk about our story, our relationship. We talk to other folks. It's always done in private with friends or friends of friends. Right. It's not too often that we actually, I think this is the very first time that we've ever talked about our story and shared kind of pulled back the curtain and talked about our marriage publicly. We've just never done that before. And so we
are honored.
So
we are definitely honored. We are so honored that you would share your love story with us. So my final question to you, Chris, plan the romantic date with Elaine. Tell me what would you do? What would you do? What would you do?
Hold on. What we going?
She said, "Go ahead, say it again."
Tell us what your romantic date. You're planning the most romantic date for Elaine. What would that be?
Oh, a staycation. I mean, there's all kinds of. Would you?
I'm just listening.
Oh, okay. I'm trying
She's just listening, Chris. She just want to know.
I mean, because he made a mistake one time.
Oh Lord, we're not going to talk about the mistake.
No.
That's another story, but it was cute. He did redeem himself. Bless his heart.
I mean, a romantic date with my wife is start early, because I like to start the date early because of the sun and I like to take you on a staycation. Find a nice little hotel.
Okay.
We got to be somewhere on the beach because I like to see the sunset.
Yeah.
We like wine, so we'll have a little wine. Drink as much as we can. Get an Uber, and just have fun. I want her to be a lady, a woman, and just hey, I love when she hangs on me. I really love when she hangs on me. So, but just take her on a nice dinner date and. Get her a gift. I might get some flowers. I used to get a lot of flowers, but it's been slow lately. But I usually. I try to.
No, you brought flowers to the office, baby, recently.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I'm always thinking about her. But it'll be a staycation somewhere, just here on the coast, ride down Sunset on the beach, looking over the ocean, drinking wine, just talking about her dreams. I think she talks to me in my sleep. But we're talking. That's another show. But I just I love hanging out. I mean, it's sky's the limits.
Yeah. You guys are awesome. And Elaine, final words to the women, the busy women out there who are looking for romance. What advice would you give them, and what advice would you give them to even keep the romance going in their own relationships?
Certainly, yeah. So for the busy women who are out there that really want to keep the romance going in their relationships, the thing is to be intentional about carving out time. And then once you carve out that amount of time, think about the quality that you can add to it. Don't feel as though everything has to be Instagram perfect. Too often we're trying to get that Instagram moment so that we can take pictures and share with the world and so forth. But really think about doing something that's going to make that marriage last or that relationship last, and what pleases that partner. So it's almost putting forth the greatest effort to be of service to him. Sometimes you might have to do things that maybe aren't the funnest thing to do. I mean, For example, I know my husband is athletic. I know that he's going to want to do things that are daredevil-like. And so I push myself to try to do things that, he might enjoy. And it's still with the balance, not to where I'm not being myself, but to say he has a partner that is willing to occasionally take her wings off and go skydiving,
Yeah.
I did indoor skydiving, but it was indoor. But so don't be afraid to do things that are pleasing to him that may just be a little bit uncomfortable for yourself, because guess what? All he's going to do is try to outdo you next time.
Exactly.
And try to do something that's pleasing for you. And so you just have that nice yin and yang. So approaching your relationship from that perspective, with trying to outdo him. And then again, I cannot stress enough to put yourself in the space to where you say, when he's around me, he's going to always feel good. He's going to feel like, man, this is a breath of fresh air to this crazy world that I have out there. But every time I get with her, it is good. And he will always come running back.
Oh, that's right, girl. Oh my gosh, that was great. Thank you.
He does. He loves girls. And it's so funny because listen, I'm always doing little things. I'm very into charcuterie boards, right? So I do all kind of boards and stuff. So I'm always doing stuff to show off. So I always feel like I'm trying to show off and do things to please them. And he just,
I love you guys. You guys are awesome. Oh,
thank you.
It's so great. It's so great to see such a great example of love and Black love, and to know that, you guys have such an awesome friendship. That's what I see. I see a great friendship, a great, desire to make each, to be your best self for one another. So I want to thank you so much for joining us and for being on Our Love podcast. I really appreciate it. I thank you from the bottom of my heart. Love you guys. And maybe we'll have a round 2 at this. To be continued.
Yes.
Thanks for listening to Our Love podcast. We hope you enjoyed today's topic. Please be sure to click subscribe to get future episodes and give us a 5-star rating to help others find us. We'll see you again next week, and we hope that you are experiencing your best love today.